the reason I'm taking time is, Revan, it's like a journey, for me. Um, Earlier, I was really obsessed with this word when I was introduced to it about 2 years back. Uh, it was a very fancy word for me to, to listen to, and uh, I wanted to, sort of know everything about it. Uh, Now, having been through these conversations for so long, uh, it's like it feels like air now. It's around me. I get it. I can't survive without it, but I can't explain it, or I don't need to prove its presence to somebody else. What these ontological inquiries have done to me, and people around me can gauge it. It's like air that you can breathe and feel, but you cannot really express. So that is what these ontological inquiries have done. um, I think something within me has definitely shifted. The way I used to interact with people, me myself, the perceptions I had about me, sometimes labeling myself, boxing myself into certain roles, certain labels, categories. I think it's helped me break a lot of that, and take baby steps towards what I would want for myself in the future. So that's how the experience has been, and I think very deep, powerful, long-lasting change, uh, and also not just change, but the power to bring about the change in my life is what has really happened to me, and it's helped me a lot.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think coming into the ontological course and thinking about it, you're always a little fuzzy. What is ontology? It sounds very sophisticated, it sounds very serious. And you hear about a lot of folks talking about transformation coaching and all sorts of these various things. So when the word ontology came, I said, well, what's this about? But I think the more we got into it, and if I were to put it very simply, my biggest learning is we've been so conditioned to, almost actions and a to-do list and some things to do. And I think if I were to sum up my learning of ontology has been, it's in the domain of being and almost that, what's that to-be list? Um, so I think the conversations have been very invigorating, trying to understand, the various concepts as well. Because essentially in anything you're trying to do, and anything, whether it's in your personal, whether it's in your professional spaces, anything you're trying to do, the common denominator in all of that is you. And how are you showing up? And what's your way of being? I think that was a big, both a revelation and a very, through all our ontological sort of conversations that surfaced. And so, if I was to sum it up, it's really moving from that to do to the to be.
Sure.
I said that I am really not interested in quick fixes and easy formulas. And so when I look at some other coaching programs and they're like, take your clients through this, this, and this, and boom, everything will be solved. I'm super not interested in that. I'm interested in a much more transformational and deeper reflective kind of approach. And that's how I learn, which is why the ontological approach really, really helped me. So instead of giving us easy definitions and easy answers, Drayvan would challenge us to really think deeply about, what presence meant, or how we actively listen. And he would not take our answers at face value. He would keep probing deeper and deeper, because it's really that deep exploration that allows for not only deeper understanding, but also deeper transformation. And that is how I learn. And it also helped me, it helped model the kind of coaching that we will do with our clients, and helped really get us comfortable in that process of exploration and not knowing, but still moving towards a deep inquiry with deep compassion. And Drayvan really led us through that. while Tracy also really brought in a great deal of deep mindfulness, somatic approaches. They work in slightly different environments, it sounds like to me. And so being able to bring those different work experiences as well to the questions that the participants brought in were really, really helpful.
Yeah, I felt like the ontological conversations were central to the journey because the nature of coaching is really focused on being present, in some ways, absence of yourself. And it enabled me to really think about and become more aware of that presence I have in a room and what it means. And so I felt like they really deepened the idea of what coaching presence means in ways that would have been hard to do just by talking about it, because the ontological training was really experience-based. And they also, it would have been hard to do, or it just was it was a beautiful way of doing it. I can think of so many examples that were used in the course that aren't just beautiful metaphors, but they're tools that get me to very rapidly recognize things about myself in the process of coaching that allow me to be so much more effective as a coach. And I don't think something you can read about and do. I think it is a practice, just like coaching is a practice. So you have to, I think the course made it possible to get your arms around the idea of what an ontological approach to coaching would be. And it was the best way to do it. And it also just made it just a super fun, interesting course. So that was a great thing. That, you know, I always was excited when we were going to talk about anything related to ontology, because I knew that I would leave there having opened a new door to myself that I didn't know was there. And that was, oh, heck, that's a great thing to do during a class. You know, I just felt, yeah, it was pretty powerful.
Yeah, the ontological conversation was more about understanding myself, who I'm being, or what I am showing up as myself to the client. And that was a very, very deep and powerful influence on me, because when I started, I mean, throughout my career, 25 years, I have been a leader. I have been, a performer. So everything that I did was more of solution oriented. And in coaching, being solution oriented really doesn't work. So initially, I used to show up as trying to make the client understand, or maybe, very subtly trying to point out where, in what direction they should move. And that's what I realized I shouldn't be doing. For me, the best thing that ontology taught me, or the course taught me, was to be comfortable in not knowing, to understand the client from their perspective, as to what they are saying, as to what they are not saying, which is also important, and also to understand the client from a perspective of what they want actually, which they themselves at times are not very clear, but even to understand that. So the whole idea about, I think, what changed for me in coaching was, it was not about myself, it was more about the client. It's about understanding the client at a very, very deep level. So invariably it ended up in my listening improving, because earlier I used to, I mean, in my earlier practice, I used to interrupt a lot. That stopped, because I realized that I need to pause and I need to stop for the client to express themselves. So the conversations around ontology helped me to find myself, and also to understand the client at a very, very different level. And that's what I think it has happened.
But first of all, I was attracted to this course because of the ontological conversations. And I know from my own studies that our beliefs, our habits, those things that are deeply embedded in us, really guide our behavior, guide our outcomes in life and our outlook in life. And so, if this is what coaching is all about being there, creating space, holding space for persons to explore their own beings, then the more we understand it and the more we are able to appreciate the journey of exploration, is the more we can guide, or the better we can be that space holder for others. So that to me is the core of coaching. It's that transformation process is at the core of coaching, and the ontology is very directly related to it. There was tremendous value in being taken through an ontological conversation, which is a journey through your thoughts, how they connect to your emotions and feelings, and how they lead to behaviors and outcomes that you could not have anticipated because you never explored what is going on within you. You never knew, well, I did not know. I used to think like this. I did not know that I'm shooting myself in my foot here in this way. You know, so opening up that space and with a methodology that is very different from experiential learning or didactic learning, the 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 methodology around ontology that you have employed has been particularly refreshing and impactful, let me say. And so you say you have no regrets. Well, I didn't start off with regrets. I have no regrets. I start off with excitement, and I have much more excitement at the end.
I found that was the key to my, my progress, or like whatever I learned. And kind of, I can say, ontology has helped me liberate myself from myself. The choices, like I could see like how I was, kind of, there was no other way to look at it for me. Like, and this ontology like helped me like totally, explore that what is my being, like what is it that I want to be, and what am I showing up as, and why so. All these things were like very deep things, and I think they happened only because of this ontology part of it. And I really appreciate that part of it.
I remember I was very keen to join this course because I was fascinated with ontology as the approach. Um, and I had no background, to an ontology. I was not a philosophy student. I was not even a psychology. I didn't even have psychology as a background, but I was an HR professional. Um, but I remember the course content really excited me when I went through it. It was the topics and the things that they were uh, putting on the table were something which I really was looking forward, and I was not disappointed. Uh, the entire wonder of the ontological approach of uh, you know anything and coaching is that you don't really that you start understand, you start really getting it. So we had some intense and deep conversations around things like presence, trust, and how what is it to explore the who of the client, or what is it to be authentic, and what is it to be what does integrity mean to anybody, or like for each one of us, for me. And as you understand these concepts, and as you understand the being of what is it to be in a person of integrity, what does it mean to have trust, as you start really getting these things, you see them automatically being evidenced in your conversations in the coaching space also. um, that's phenomenal. So we never really learned the core competencies that have been recommended by the ICF. We just got them. We just started living them.